Friends and enemies of the internet, welcome to another week of the Corporate Esports Association Overwatch tournament. I'm BiggHungryPhill, and with me is Olaf, ManofClass. So, Olaf, how is life? Welcome to the broadcast. Tell us what we've got to look forward to.
Well, I don't know how about you. I just watched a grand finals of Overwatch League today, so I am in for some other Overwatch games because it's never enough. We never stop. We never even take a breath anymore these days, Phil. It's just
Never
content, content,
stops,
content,
never
and that's what we like to
rests,
see.
never
And
sleeps.
today, indeed, HP versus a combination of adaptive biotechnologies and slalom, aka high performance versus killer T cells. And I don't know about you, but those sound like some promising names.
It's promising names at the very least. And just to clarify, this is not a 1 versus 2 situation. It's still 6 players per team. We've not entered this wacky workshop mode just yet. Maybe later on we'll see how it goes. But let's move on from looking at the names, which I'll grant you are top flight names, indicative of very high performance teams, and maybe look a little bit closer as to what we can expect from these teams, because there's a bit of an SR mixeroo going on here. Lots of ranges in both of
Yeah.
these teams.
Yeah, I like to see that though. I mean, that's what it's all about when you're playing in more of a community sense of things.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there's still competitive Overwatch going on, but you get so much more of a healthy blend of players, different players from different teams, different walks of life. I mean, yes, they might work at the same company, doesn't mean they have the same, job, same everything going on. And when you have these different types of people coming together, you also get different SR ranges, different interests, different everything. And the one thing we can at least assure that they do have in common is that, both the 6 to 10 players on either team support one charity. Another team, same thing. They're all under that same umbrella. If that's what they are really here for, not just to play some Overwatch, but to raise awareness and to make sure that everyone knows about it.
Quite right. And Killer T Cells are going to be raising money for Fred Hutch. And I've got to admit, as a non-North American myself, I'm looking forward to learning exactly what that charity is, because right now I don't know. Whereas High Performance are going to be donating to ACLU if they find themselves at the top of the bracket at the end of the season. And another little piece of information, Mercart coming in from Team High Performance, wanted to let us know that he thinks there's a good chance they might be the most geographically disparate team in the tournament so far. We've got Panda Cake, Killua, and Signord up in the Pacific Northwest, and Crizart, Temp, Kyle Hayden, and Mikart all the way down in Guadalajara. So that is a big gap between the most northern and southern players here. Let's hope that doesn't cause them too many ping issues.
No, of course, it always depends on what server the game ends up pushing us on. We have the option to choose a few, but that might cause some issues. Might also be a reason why maybe they won't win. But then again, look at the side, the killer T cells. I mean, a lot of players. I really, really like how people get creative with their gamer tags a lot of the time. You have Desu Bell is spelled with the threes in it. It's more of a regular thing coming out. But I'm also really happy to see what Savage Muffin can do. I mean, I love me a good Savage Muffin. Amy 357. It's probably an area code. If it's not, it's also I want to know what those numbers stand for. It's interesting. Maybe we get to hear some of that after the game.
Maybe I got to say, the idea of a Savage Muffin kind of slightly scares me, because it sounds like it's full of both bran and teeth, which is not the most flavorful combination for a muffin. But we can maybe discuss this with them after the fact. For those of you that are joining us on the back of having watched the grand finals today, it's worth noting that we'll be playing on the live patch, which is different to the Super Roadhog patch that the grand finals were just played on. So expect to see something a little bit different from both of our teams today. Added into that, of course, we're looking at teams with, again, very disparate SR ranges, and we tend to see the meta just kind of left by the side of the road, having been hit by the car of player choices. So until we actually see these teams lock into the map, there's no real way to predict how this is going to work out, but it should be spicy regardless.
It very much should be. It looks like they're going to be starting out here on Busan, which is, of course, a control map that we're all very familiar with, having seen it quite a few times this weekend. Then in the past months, ever since the map came out into the game, it feels like forever. Like, it actually doesn't feel like it's that long ago, but it has been forever since Busan got added. And we've gotten to know the map quite a little bit over those times, Phil. I mean, the mecha base, the moving walls, which I think have still great potential for some strategic plays coming out if you can count them down properly. The nice high grounds and then a moving train on downtown. Even Sanctuary with that drum, which has a tiny objective, which then is taken up by most of that drum. It's a very interesting map. It has a lot of versatility to it. So I'm always happy to see more of Busan.
Yeah, I like Busan particularly because I feel like out of all of the three map subset type of control, it's the one with the most variation between different points. And so we see a lot of different compositions run at different places. So we are just getting ready to go into the map now. It looks like we're going to be starting on downtown here today, Classy. And that, for me, suggests high ground and sniper play a lot of the time.
Yeah, it really should. And a lot of the time as well, when we look at a map like Busan downtown, it's also really. Yes, you can see a lot of sniper play come out, but it's really indicative of what a team starts to pick and where they feel comfortable with. Now, if you see a lot of that Widowmaker, you do think that maybe they trust their sniper enough to potentially quote unquote carry them if they can make the space for it. But if a team goes more for a anti-sniper, like a very mobile dive, maybe something more with a lot of barriers, a lot of movement, they might not be reliant as much on the Widowmaker, but they are reliant very much on either countering her, dodging the sidelines, and playing more in like a team fashion where they bunch up a bit more and not give the Widow the opening they need to get the shots off.
So worth noting that we do have high performance potentially starting out here with the Widowmaker pick, but it's Tiana Toure, who is a silver player, Ash Widow for preference. Normally you'd want one of your higher SR players on this pivotal role.
Yeah, I talk about mechanics in that sense, but of course, ranked doesn't mean everything. I mean, I know myself, I never play competitive anymore, Phil. You are a console player, so you would even have an SR here. It's all up in the air. But they do have to line up against this pharmacy, and if they don't spot them, this could be an opening pick on the far. Oh, it's just a body shot, Phil. That's not going to be
that's unfortunate. Really, really good position there from Tiana Toure, but a little bit late to the fight, and it means that we've already got 2 picks on the board coming in for Killer T-Cell. Tiana Toure will find one, but it's too little, it's too late, and I think we're looking at an early cap here for Killer T-Cells.
Yeah, I really do. It's quite convincing as well. They just walked in, got a few picks, and kept on rolling with it. A lot of that is, of course, on the back of that Pharah being able to put so much pressure on that team than the Widowmaker was. Tiana Toure really couldn't get on top of anybody, couldn't really get sidelines on a lot of players on the other side. So HP in a very good position to keep on going forward with this point.
Well, like a good pair of trousers, we've got pockets here on either side. Tiana Toure going to pick up the pocket from Senior XD here. And Gonzo, of course, with Light Bulb there to help keep them in that fight. Let's see who can be the most effective. There's a bit of a hit scan pressure here coming from Grail. Won't find the pick onto Gonzo, and Gonzo now currently sat nice and healthy at nearly 90% charge. Probably didn't want the TNT to the face if they had their choice. And it's an opening pick here for high performance. They need a second, and they need it quickly. That's going to be good. Sunlion now down. Tiana Toure with the high ground. Knows roughly where Gonzo is, but that decision has been taken away from them as the kill will come through for Grail here. Here's the flip, but A-Day is still going in. He's got the shatter, but he's got 0 HP, so it's not going to do him any good, Classy.
Oh, high performance managed to take the point back through that, and that's actually a lot of trades going off in that fight, but a lot of the time when you see those trades happen, it's all about which ones do you actually trade. Who are the ones you actually kill first? This time around, it just happened to be that the DPS and especially the tanks of Killer T-Cells were under so much pressure that space can be made and supports were even going to be in trouble.
See, Decibel fell very low there, but with a little bit of support from Sunlight, he's going to get the visor out. Didn't see the shatter coming in round the corner for Killua. Puts one on the ground, but so far, there's only 1 kill on the back of it. And like the world's most deadly, a Meteor Shower, we get the Graviton Surge and Barrage combo, but it hasn't done much here for Killer T-Cells. High Performance are still in the fight here, and they can continue to stall this out for as long as they like. What a shatter, though. Dealt with Panda Cake, who had all the charge in the world. Big play here from Ade, and that's going to be a flip on the point coming through for Killer T-Cells.
Big difference there between those two shatters.
Maybe not.
And Ade.
Grail?
Oh, Grail with the tech visor. Oh,
wow, okay, he kept us alive. He got the
filter.
triple. Killer found 1 with the Fire Strike, and they just pushed them back the way out. We both called that way too early, ManofClass. Grail had other ideas.
Yeah, I really thought it was done because, of course, you had Killua with the shatter, but that found nothing, no follow-up. They just shattered in the main, got quite a few on the ground, but there was no one there. And Ade, together with Mudkips, could just clean everything up with their Zarya Reiner combo after that shatter hit. But unfortunately, you cannot block. I mean, you can block, but you cannot dodge an Autobot visor. It just will always hit you. And Grill can, just primarily positioned for that one.
Gonzo with a bit of a Hail Mary switch here in the final few seconds of the fight. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but that's Gonzo down on the high ground. We're going to have to see Killer T-Cells start to try and swarm towards the point to retake this here. Grail's going to go down, but so far they are ignoring Tiana Torre on the high ground. Finds the pig onto Decibel. Oh, it's going to go down as well. It's Killer versus Ade on the point, and that's going to be High Performance coming out on top. One bubbled Russian left to go, and that is it. 1 point capped in favor of High Performance.
Yeah, so far, High Performance looking good. They started out a bit rough, but Tiana Torre got into better positions. Grill was able to kite around the enemy team. And it really surprises me how well they're playing in a sort of a fan formation. They're not actually grouping up a lot of the time. And that is a very different approach than what we see on the other side. So far, Killer T-Cells have been very much wanting to stick together. And switching over to this composition, what they do now, is very indicative of that. Sunline and Lightbulb are going to be able to just speed boost and sustain their entire team throughout a hard engage and just walk into the enemy tank line, and they're going to destroy them if this happens.
I do wonder about the inclusion of the soldier here for Killer T-Cells, though, because everything else about their comp says rush down to me, and it's very difficult to run the soldier into a brawl.
Could have maybe a bit of an off-angle soldier going on for the extra damage from the side. It's a possibility. It's also just sometimes a comfort thing. You know, sometimes players just feel like they really can do so much more with that soldier than maybe a more meta-appropriate pick.
Well, so far it's not worked out particularly well for them. Tiana Torre there found them with the TNT. It's a 1, it's a 2, it's a 3, 4-man advantage now for High Performance. Killer T-Cells back to spawn. Maybe have a rethink about this comp, hey?
Grill going for that one hero that you just cannot rush into because a Junkrat will tear you apart every day, especially since those barrier nerfs a while back. It's just been so hard to get through this rat, and Grill already trying to pressure them back into spawn. Phil, they're going to have so much trouble to get past this because 60% of that tire already, and the point is in their favor.
I mean, this is maybe where you get a slight advantage from the soldier. You get a little more range in the Junkrat, but finding the angle to actually do that in the first place is going to be tricky. We'll see them taking the low ground approach here at the minute. High Performance, well, they're just going to drop down with Grail, stick that conch mine right into Decibel's mouth. Out comes the Riptide, didn't find much, and Grail paid for it with his life. Tiana Torre still on the high ground, has a bead there onto Gonzo. Gonzo's down to Panda Keiku's down on the floor and flexing hard on Killer T-Cells.
Yeah, it's so far been so dominant in a favor of HP, of High Performance. Killer T-Cells have to come back in here, but they still haven't really built up any ultimates. They're getting close to that Shatter, Coalescence, Death Blossom combo, but it's not as easy to just get through. Now we move the Symmetra. They do make it to point quite easily. The turrets are set up, and this is a very good strategy. But what do you do now? Do you just wait for them to come to you now?
I guess you just try and... I mean, this is great. Actually really complements the Russian style. You just run the Symmetra at the barrier and look for kills. Grail's down. Gonzo's got all the confidence in the world, as well as those Hellfire shotguns. But somebody up on the high ground goes with the TP, but they've given him the runaround and dropped down. Still has a line onto Tiana Torre, who doesn't know he's there. Coach Guns back to safety out of the effective range of the Reaper. But speaking of effective range, Gonzo is now down in the brawl with the Hellfire shotguns ready to go on the ultimate as well. Big shatter out. Tiana Torre is going to find Gonzo. Takes that particular threat off the board here, and this is creeping close to last fight territory for High Performance.
Oh, that's such a good start to that fight, but they just cannot get those last few kills, cannot clean it out. And that's such a shame, because now with 3% left and barely any members alive, how are you ever going to cap this back? It looks like High Performance is going to run away with this one, but a Death Blossom and a Graph could change everything.
There's the tag in, and he can't survive! He pulls it off! But the conch mine comes out and just obliterates him, and it is cleanup time for Grail. One last rip tire for celebration. Nobody to blow up with it, so let's just enjoy the fireworks show.
Yeah, this entire game was just coming up HP so far, and especially coming up Grill. Not only with the Tech Visor, but also with that Junkrat. Just did so much damage. Rightfully gets play of the game, in my opinion, as well. It was just pulling their weight more than that, actually. It's pulling the trigger on the mines, really. gets see that kill. This would have been such a good one. That Death Blossom comes out, that Graviton finds value. That's so hard to defend against. They might have been able to clutch it back that way, but unfortunately couldn't happen around this time. There were a lot of good plays coming out though outside of Killer T cells. It's not like we're looking at a complete stomp of a match. The match score might say something different, but we're looking at fights that narrowly go one way and just happen to then end up to that 100-0 score line, or that 100-50 score line.
Oh yeah, there were absolutely moments there where Killer T cells had the upper hand. It's just that High Performance seemed to have something to clutch it out with, whether that's a surprise concussive mind to the face from the drone crat, a Riptire, a Shatter, a Wall, something like that, just to interrupt the flow of Killer T cells making their way back onto the point. But just to highlight Grail for a little bit here, it's worth noting that for his team in particular, he's the highest ranked player. So I think and certainly looking at his in-game icon, he's got a lot of time on the game. That's a gold border for that guy, 2.5k. Puts him at about level here with Gonzo. So I feel like a lot of that matchup was down to character choice, hero choice, rather than the individual skill matchup. And it just meant that nobody was really trying to answer Grail. Gonzo evidently has the skill to do it, just going by SR, but couldn't get at the right range to make that work.
No, and that's. I mean, you would say sometimes that's how it works, because I also think that A-Day was actually winning the tank matchup most of the time. Had better shatters a lot of the time. Killua couldn't really get that much follow up on them. Together with Mudkips, they really play together well. But unfortunately, just having the tanks play well, generally speaking, doesn't win you a game, because you need the consistent performance from your supports, from your DPS to match up with what's happening on the other side. And if you just run over their tanks and then cannot clean up the rest of the fight, like you saw happen there on Busan Mecha Base, unfortunately, you will generally speaking not win maps, because it's not just about killing two heroes or getting more kills. It's about controlling that objective. And you need to clean the enemy off if you want to be able to do so. Now that we go to Rialto, it will be a very different story. That payload is a lot more fluid and moves throughout the map, so there's not as much static going on as there was on, or static chaos as there was going on Busan. And not just that, we'll just see some switches coming in from the team, some subs being put in, taken out, and that will maybe even change the dynamic between these teams even more than just the map does.
And I think this is a particularly interesting swap. We've got SWAT Cat coming in place of Decibel. So Decibel was the soldier player for Killer T cells. SWAT Cat, who's coming in now, is a 3k SR player compared to a 2.5k SR highest on High Performance. So this is, I think, you maybe don't want to call it subbing in your Smurf, but certainly subbing in a potentially much stronger player on the DPS role here.
Yeah, and then on the other side, they say, you know what, let's maybe balance it out a little bit. So Gonzo and Decibel both out. Now it's Cheddar is in. Cheddar boasting a 800 SR. So they do try to keep it even. Again, SR doesn't tell us everything, guys. Like don't think that we're saying, oh, they're 800, so they must be much worse than someone else. But it's just an approximation that we can get a bit of a picture on it.
And for a little bit of context, we have fairly limited information. We've not had a chance to watch these teams play before, so we're just going, well, we've got their SR that maybe suggests this, maybe suggests that. That's absolutely not us trying to play down these guys. It's a different sort of environment to the ladder.
And I really like that we see Cheddar selecting Sombra, Mei, and Symmetra as favorite heroes. And we look at we'll look at SWAT Cat. SWAT Cat says Tracer, Ashe, Sombra, and Hanzo. So we might see some double hit scans, some Tracer Sombra come out, some Sombra Ashe, some Sombra. Oh no, wait, we can't do that, unfortunately. Wish we could.
Sombra. So good they named it twice.
Just hack both tanks at the same time, and then double EMP. It's gonna be great, but we'll see if that happens. I would personally be very happy to see the Mei, even though a lot of people might not be that happy to see Mei in the meta or play against Mei. It's really fun to play her, so I understand it. I like Mei. I have a golden gun. No bias here. On the other side, we did also see some sub come in. I think Senior XD and Meekheart are now in instead of the players they had in support before. So new lineups all around. I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do on Rialto. I think with the new players they have into the heroes they selected as this is what we like to play, there could actually be some swap ups in terms of what they do, and that might lead Killer T cells in a much better position than we just saw in Busan.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, he was sort of hinting at before I got into discussing the swaps and the SR range that You know, a map like Rialto plays in a fundamentally different way to a map like Busan. It's a lot more fluid. You take fights at a variety of different places that favor attack or defense, and so we are by necessity probably going to be seeing some different strats coming out here.
100%. I mean, you know what we saw in the grand finals? We had the Shock win all their control maps, but then not disagree on their escort map. So that already tells you very different map types if the same team does so.
You've got to be good
very
at two
different
types
on
of
either
maps to win. That's all you need.
Yeah,
Two
look,
types of map
I'm not gonna complain about it. Honestly, I'm just saying it's an observation. It happened. You know, they didn't win a single checkpoint on an escort map, but did win all the control maps. So it's gotta tell you something about that maps are just very different in the way they play out. Even you know, if it's the same team. So we will see if Rialto and the swaps actually make a difference in this matchup. Of course, both teams swapping up some players, go to a new map. Kind of starting from zero. I mean, the only thing that we really know is that it's still 1-0 right now for high performance. That's really the only information we have, and we're getting a brand new game, brand new series. Some returning players, a lot of new faces.
And of course, the one thing that we do know with the 1-0 lead here for high performance is that if they do take this map, then that will be them at match point in the series. So they want to keep this momentum up. Whereas for Killer T Cells, they're really looking to play disruptor here. They want this 1-on-1. They want to prove that they're not going to get swept. They want to make high performance sweat for this one. But looking at what we've got here on the defense, I am very unsurprised to see Grail coming out here. There's a lot of very narrow corridors when you can do a lot of work with the Junkrat, particularly on this first point.
Yeah, the Junkrat gonna be a. I mean, Cheddar is possibly it out. It means that she might have seen the last round and was like, guys. Gotta do this differently. Gotta put out the red as well and just match it 1-for-1. And it's actually almost a mirror that comes out. Actually, scratch it. It's a mirror, Phil.
Yeah, wow. It's an interesting mirror. Cheddar on the flank here. Thinks she's seen a way through. Drops the trap. Tries to entice her opponents in, but no bites on that cheese just yet. And it's SWAT Cat now on the high ground. Big TNT in behind the right shield. And that's going to be cleaned up now. It's a 2-player advantage for Killer T Cells. Looking to get the third on the board. There is a res in the offing here, but Tiana Tori is already down. Grail closes the distance. Throws in the combat. If it can get the second here and find the support, this is a big comeback, but too late. It's Cheddar with the opposite number able to find the pick there. And this looks like it might be a quick old cap here, Classy.
I've been liking the play between Cheddar and SWAT Cat so far. They're really dueling their DPS together. Now Mudkips and Panda Cake squaring off. Zarya dominance established. And Ade and Mudkips, just like the last maps, really coming in as a more dominant tank duo.
Wow, and that was almost uncontested. We've got a 5-minute, 15-second time bank coming into Streets here. And it looks like High Performance might be caught a little bit on the back foot here. They're waiting for respawns to come through. Okay, starting to press the distance now, but SWAT Cat finds a big old chunk of the damage coming through from High Performance for taking Grail off of the table. Might still have the res available, but they're not. They do have the space, and Grail is about to get this Riptire. A big Riptire here can oh no! Cheddar finds Grail. There's a bomb on the field now. It's a 75. It's not fair. It shouldn't be allowed, but High Performance have the ults to make this work, and they're going to round this most difficult corner with ease.
You can see the higher level strats from SWAT Cat straight away coming out. The more aggressive positioning, the flanks. You can just tell that they're playing on a bit of a different level than we've been seeing so far from either of these teams. Just playing a bit faster, playing a bit more aware of their surroundings. And now we even get an aggressive tire from Cheddar. Wow, just the pressure is non-stop.
Burning time. Great, finds the pick on Tiana Tori. Nobody touches because they assume it's going to be over the cart coming through. And now we've got nearly 6 minutes in the bank. And the kills do not stop here for Killer T Cells. That's Killua down. They can afford to take a little bit of space here. Encroach, get some free card progress. Exactly what they're doing. Eddie has the shatter, starts to push up. Needs to play the mind game here with Killua to assure that it finds value.
Oh, it's so beautiful how Mikar just skates on out of there on that Lucio. I love to see it. Cheddar now goes down to Panda Cake. The res does come out, but that's a close one. Barely able to get that off. The Shatter? Who actually shattered? It was Killua?
Yeah, it was Killua. Didn't find anything, though. We'll have another Riptide here, this time from Grail. Finds Ade, but doesn't get light bulb. The res is still a possibility. But now, SWAT Cat is down at its high performance. Back in the kill feed. It's a big grab. Finds the double Panda Cake. knocked up onto the high ground there by the Conk Mine. Cheddar finds one with the passive mines, but High Performance finally, at the cost of a little bit of ults, manage a hold here.
It has been only 3 minutes 20 in this map so far. That's how quickly the card's been moving. It's only really 2 fights that they need to get it to the end, and they have 4.5 minutes to do it. Killer T-Cell still in a great position here to close out this map, and like you said, the old situation is looking good for them, and with that opening pick, it's going to be even better.
And they just did not see SWATcat taking that rotation, chucks the Bob into the back, uses the pressure of the big Omnic Butler to force them back into SWATcat's shooting gallery. The Bob is going to go down to Panda Cake, but then Panda Cake, all that attention diverted. AD just comes in and sweeps the spine out from under him with the hammer.
Yeah, I would really like to see a similar, like, it was just more awareness coming out from High Performance right now, but it's not happening. It is just complete dominance in positioning. Mudkips takes out 2 more, Phil, and this is just the last fight.
Yeah, and of course, we've got a visit to the cheese counter here from Tianatori going for the last second Bastion pick, but isn't being given the space to get set up. No space available for anybody. Did just find space there for Mikart to get that sound barrier off. Panda Cake's going to come back in via the res, and now we have, nope, man advantage gone, even as the words were about to leak my mouth. AD swings through them, one more Bob on the card here from SWATcat, and this is going to be all over bar the crying here on the defense for High Performance.
High Performance not able to stop that card enough, just once after that second checkpoint got capped, and then just straight rolling through. 3 minutes 16 is a massive time bank for Rialto. That's one we just rarely see. It's a really legendary time bank, to be honest. And now that they're swapping sides here, I mean, High Performance has a very, very large mountain to climb. And with SWATcat on the defense, where they can not as aggressively take those angles as easily, that might make it a bit easier, but it's still so much time that you need to make up for. So fast you need to push through the map. That SWATcat getting a few picks here and there might already slow it down enough.
And I feel like if SWATcat were to come out here on something even more high pressure, like if they were to pick up the Widowmaker, on the defense here, there is a lot that can be done to shut out the DPS options for High Performers. Looks like we're going to see them sticking with the Ashe, which, I mean, to be honest, it gives you a lot more versatility than the Widowmaker. And let's be fair, he's been making this pick work.
Yeah, he has. That's just how it works. Like, honestly, it's one of those picks that you don't always think, yes, this is the most meta thing, or yes, this will really work, because it is relatively easy to counter. But if you can make it work, and if you do get the value, it does so much. It's one of those heroes that you just cannot ignore. And I mean, they haven't been ignoring it, but it's just been mirrored better. It's just matched up better for the other side. I do like this hog pick from Kulua, though. It might just be for the first part to get people off the bridge, but it's still a nice pick.
It's a 2v1, and Tianatori decides it's maybe not worth taking that one. Receives the TNT to the face of the trouble, and now SWATcat has a bit of a line in, but whilst we were focusing on Killua, Tianatori is able to find the pick onto SWATcat, but there's a lot of pressure now coming out from High Performance, but it's not going to be enough to break through the wall of spam that's coming in here from Killer T-Cells.
Yeah, Killer T-Cells are so far holding good in their defense. A bit of dynamite actually coming up from Tianatori, but Cheddar, long-range grenade spam, just gets that kill as well, and it's just been a dominate start on this defense so far. This Ashe matchup especially has just been so much in the favor of SWATcat.
Really has. I mean, and SWATcat has the defender's advantage. He has the high ground. It's going to be very difficult to dislodge them. You see Grail take an angle in, throws the Conk Blast just into the waiting personal bubble of Mudkips, but Tianatori finds the opening pick here, and there's the second Grail, able to take his opposite number of Cheddar off the board. The rest comes through, and it brings in Cheddar, who is, in fact, in possession of the Riptide, so he's going to be looking for the equalizer. There we go, the double from Killer T-Cells. Mikart and Grail both down. Panda Cake doing their darndest to buddy hop their way out, but that is it. Another defensive hold for Killer T.
Killer T so far just in such a great place. Like, they have not been challenged enough. Like, we said it before that a day and Midkips are just a very good tank duo versus Panda Cake and Killua. And now that Killua and Panda Cake have to switch up their tank roles in terms of who plays the Reinhardt, who plays the other tank, it's just not been getting much better.
Oh, Panda Cake just not quite quick enough on that rotation. It's going to be down to Grail to find the equalizer. There's the double. No tanks left online now for Killer T-Cells, but the res brings Ade back into this one, and SWAT Cat finds Torre. Cheddar's just spamming away here and finding picks. That's going to be another defensive hold. Bob comes out now from SWAT Cat for good measure. All the world's the stage, and SWAT Cat is killing the actors.
Yeah, SWAT Cat. I mean, that swap, that substitute has just been paying off so much. But honestly, I'm much more impressed with the performance of Cheddar, especially if you look at her, you know, presumable SR. And I think Cheddar, if you go back into comp, you'll probably do fine. Don't worry about it. Just play that Junkrat. It'll be great.
Okay, got to swap out. Panda Cake moving over on to the Winston here in the final 90 seconds of the game. Killua is going to go over the edge there. Is that a reset to change character? Hard to say. Panda Cake away into the back. Has realized now that SWAT Cat is at least one stick to the problem and wants to try and pressure them out. Buy some space. Retreats to the cart back to get healed up and start to push this cart forward. It's a big grab for Mudkips. It's going to be me cart down. Didn't have the sound barrier to keep them through, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. It's a 1-for-2 trade, unfortunately. Now Mudkip's able to find Panda Cake and Cheddar with another Reptire ready to go. The 800 SR Devil finds Senior XD on the adder with a pick, and we are below the minute mark here, Classy. Not much time to play with.
It was such a good start to that fight. Like, before that graph came out, they had control of the high ground. Panda Cake on the Winston was definitely doing work already. He's close to their Primal Rage and was really pressuring out that backline and DPS very well. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough other pressure coming in. Torre, Grill, and Killua couldn't find value on the rest of the tank line.
The hesitancy there on sending out the hook could have been an easy pick onto the Mercy, but a little bit too late, and they got away. It's down to Panda Cake now, into the back with the Nano, swinging the arms, flaming for all they're worth, buys a lot of space, wants this chase down, wants to get SWAT Cat out of the fight. Big threat taken care of. Now is going to guard this exit to make sure that the Mercy doesn't get out. No, the Mercy is going for the res. Lightbulb looking to close the gap, but Grail with a pick up onto the Reaper gets the pick now. That's 2 out of the fight for the next few seconds. Add a lockdown. It's overtime on the cart. There might be a recon test, but High Performance finally break the defensive hold.
Yeah, finally get through. The recon test could come in, like you said, but it has to be really quickly. Otherwise, I think they're just going to keep it up. Maybe Cheddar tries, but doesn't get close enough in time. That will be... Well, I mean, they're going to still take a fight here, but there's at least not a contest. That point did get captured.
Wow, okay, we got Bob on Bob action. Oh, the humanity of it. When will Omnic Buttners live in peace? Tiana Torres, Bob's going to be the first to go down. Grail takes out Lightbulb, and that was a heavy investment into a fight just off the back of the point cap.
I mean, it was, but you're still bringing down the time bank more. You're still pushing out resources from both teams. And Killua, again, switch over to the next hero. It's going to be the Sigma this time around. We see more and more looks from this tank line than we have seen from any other 2 players in the entire game so far.
Oh! Shadow comes out 2 on the ground, but with that reduced time on the ground with the round of nerves that Reinhardt had a couple of months back, there's just nobody there to capitalize on it. But the damage has now been done. Ade squirms forward, gets a bit of damage in, but now has to retreat into safety. Panda Cake takes a world of damage, but gets out safety and converts that into ult charge for the supports.
Yeah, it's what you like to see, you know, working in tandem with your supports to get their ult charge up, but it doesn't really help if Cheddar just gets those nades in from long range, keeps getting the picks. The tire is out, Phil. Who's it going to get?
Oh, 800 SR, 800 tires again. Cheddar with a double, Senior XD and Killua both down again. We'll find the pick there onto Lightbulb from Grail, but once more, too little, too late, not in a position to take that fight convincingly. The cart still pushing forward, and Grail is closing in on the Death Blossom, but there's a lot in his way and not that many people at his back just yet.
Yeah, I think that 800 just stands for the amount of damage they managed to not do in an entire game. Like, honestly, Cheddar's been hitting so many shots with those long-range nades. It's insane. And now Grill just has to teleport out an 18 HP to stay alive. But they can't get close. They cannot get anywhere because the spam is so ridiculous.
And to add to the spam, there's going to be a Bob in the mix, and yet another pick there with a concussive mine onto Panda Cake. We'll see the trade-off come through into the backline. It's Grail. Will die for his efforts, but might have just broken the back of this defense, because it's now a 2v5, and we've got a high ground here from Panda Cake. Wants to get that final bit of HP, tickle damage in, but can't quite manage it. But if they can get it around this corner, things become a lot easier for them.
Yeah, it could very well happen. And honestly, when you look at the lineup that they have, they can definitely get some ultimates online and do some more. But that grab is huge, Phil.
This is a gravy of a grab. 2, 3 kills on the back of it with the fire strike there to heat things up. Shatter out, 2 on the ground. Hammer becomes a broom. The bits and pieces of high performance swept out. Overtime ticks down, and we are all tied up, Classy.
A 1-1 situation. After that first map, that is honestly not a bit surprising. But we did say it. All they really have to do is make sure their DPS line is a bit more stable, is a bit more contesting what happens on the other side from Grill and Janitor. And that's exactly what they did. Cheddar and SWATcat, a very, very invigorating duo. Get SWATcat on the Ash with some interesting positioning, some nice angles. The accuracy is on point. Just understanding how far aggressively they can move and pushing that right to the edge. And then Cheddar just looking somewhere in the sky, pressing M1, and she just hits the nades at ridiculous distances. And you could say, okay, maybe that's high performance walking into them every time now and then, because you should be able to see that coming. But still, the fact that you're able to hit those, the fact that you get those tires, you get that value out of the Junkrat is super valuable. And then mid gives an A-Day, Lightbulb, and I forgot the last name of the other support. I'm terribly sorry. I know you've been doing a great job as well. They keep up their performance they've been doing on Busan as well. The tank line and support line is matching up, if not just outperforming high performance's core a little bit better. And then the DPS, again, it was the only thing that slightly needed to be fixed, and Grill and Tientor finally got some challenge on them. So maybe they weren't expecting it. Maybe it was just a fluke, this map. But I really hope it wasn't. I really hope that we can see Killer T Cells do as well as they did before on this map.
Do you know, Classy, the thing that I found really interesting about the way that Killer T-Cells were playing in the last round is you hear a lot of talk about peeling for supports. And it's a very important thing to do, but I felt like a lot of the time what we were seeing there was SWATcat peeling for Cheddar, or at least the two of them playing together in such a way that it's very easy just to turn around and immediately peel for your partner. Like SWATcat was there kind of doing bodyguard duty almost for Cheddar, and when you've got Lightbulb there on the Mercy as well, it's very hard to break that particular triumvirate without very, very good target focus.
It really was. And there was that one moment when Pancake had just switched over to the Winston where they tried to chase down SWATcat on the Ash. And then Shatter, Lightbulb, Sun Lion, they all turn around to help out the DPS in the back line. Meanwhile, their tanks are able to just hold on in the front line and be fine. Because, they're tanks. They need healing, but just not as much. It was looking great. It was looking great the way they turned around for each other and the peel was happening. And we might be having to start seeing that from high performance as well. But a lot of the time when kills happen on high performance, it's just one of those one-shot burst type of situations. So you need to do preventive peel instead of reactive peel, and that's much harder to get right.
It is. You're starting to enter the realm of very high-level Overwatch schools of thought about preemptive positioning and timing and awareness of where the rest of your team and your opponents are, that maybe it's unfair of us to expect at this particular level of Overwatch. I have just been informed we've got a little bit of time between now and the start of the next map, so whilst we wait for everybody to get into the lobby, we're going to throw to a short break, but don't go too far because we're going to be back very soon. Welcome back, everybody. And it looks like we are more or less ready to come back into map. We're going to be going to our hybrid map next. And, well, quelle surprise, it's King's Row. I hope you're as flabbergasted by this pick as I am, Classy.
I mean, we were already so prepared that we had it as our background today, Phil.
Oh,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. Like, we were honestly, yeah, I know, right? We just traveled. Yeah, I mean, not a lot changed between these teams. I mean, after map 1, we had quite a few subs. This time around, Killer T Cells only subbing up one of their supports. It's gonna be Amy coming in for a light bulb. So Amy 357 to be specifically. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of Amy's in the world. Got to specify with a number apparently, because that's how it is. But we'll see if their number it makes them more unique in their playstyle. It's always
it's very hard for us to guess exactly where in the ranking of Amy's 357 is, because if it's out of 358, that's not great. If it's out of 10,000, that's actually pretty good. So we'll have to let their gameplay speak for itself on this one. So you do wonder if a change of support lineup here is a strategic decision, or for a roster like Killer T Cells who have a lot of players, is it just about getting everybody a bit of time in the spotlight?
Yeah, that's definitely consideration. And of course, when we work in a setting like this, there's a lot of players and teams. It's more of a community competitive type of tournament. You do get that synergy, and you get that that really element, that atmosphere where everyone kind of wants to get some playtime. So could very well be that that's the consideration, saying, oh, you know what, everyone just gets to play a map at least once. Depending on which roles are doubled up. But so far, I mean, it hasn't really seemed like Killer T Cells have had much trouble. They had a little bit of trouble on map 1, but map 2 looked very convincing in their favor. And a lot of that we attributed to their support line and their tank line. And of course, Amy comes in. She's only going to be able to support more of what SWATcat and Cheddar want to do on those DPS with the damage boost. That's what the Mercy does amazingly. Yes, she has a res. Yes, she heals. But the damage boost is what it's all about usually. Especially with these heroes.
Yeah, and particularly when you're coming into a brawl comp running right at you, like that's so much damage if you hit 6 players with a boosted TNT. That's like a good chunk of your ore already. Tenatori with a slow grapple up onto the higher ground here. Looking for something. Might just catch a glimpse there of the glowing form of SWATcat, but no, opts to drop down to the low ground instead and keep this fight going from there. But SWATcat has such a defensible angle here. Sees the shots coming in from the opposite number. Tenatori pressures them out. Going to take a reposition. Grail comes in around behind and finds Cheddar. That's one pick already here for High Performance as they surge their way on to the point. We'll see Grail trapped up for now, but there's not a lot of follow-up damage coming his way. Looks like we might see an early cap here for High Performance.
Yeah, High Performance actually coming back from that break with a vengeance. Nice work, just rushing into the enemy team, and as well that positioning from Tiantor, just very good. Cheddar tries to come back in the Junkrat, but 1v6 is still a very bad mathematical equation in Overwatch.
It is, and look at the difference in ult charge here between Grail. Oh, Cheddar's just swapped over onto the main now, and Grail is now down. SWATcat's find a pick, and now that's going to buy Killer T Cells chance to move in. The wall comes up, and Panda Cake goes down behind it. This is a beautiful revenge bounce back here from Killer T Cells, and they can now hold the choke, Classy.
The commitment of walking forward aggressively wasn't there for the entirety of Killer T Cells. There was just 3 or 4 heroes that went forward. Still quite a few that stayed near the objective. Now they will still have that ult charge advantage, but that wall is what's going to be the bane of their existence. Can they get past it?
Oh, that's unfortunate. It's the 5v6 already. We'll see the rest come through, and now we've got both the Bob and almost the Graviton Surge online. We've got the Coalescence to start things out here. Triggers Meekart to use the sound barrier to protect the rest of his team. Killer T Cells starting to surge forward, but they've got to be careful because away into the backline, it's Grail with the tire once more, taking SWATcat out of the fight, securing the 5v6. Killer has the Shatter online, but falls in the middle of the grab. Where's the defensive Shatter coming out from Killer? It doesn't need it, will survive through that and start to force Killer T Cells back. The Shatter comes out, but it's into the waiting shield of Killer. Grab from Panda Cake, and this looks like it might be a high performance win here.
Yeah, it looks like High Performance is going to keep this cart rolling right now. They've been looking good on King's Row so far. Haven't really seen a lot of answers coming out from the side of High Performance. From Killer T Cells. Yeah, these killer T cells are now swapping up their entire DPS line, whereas they were really in control last time around. This time around, they really feel like that Ashe is not able to get as much value. That Cheddar is was under a lot of pressure. They're immediately going over to the Mei Pharah, and that's a very interesting DPS lineup, especially considering that sniper on the other side. But it doesn't matter if you just walk it on their
the
face.
movement from SWAT Cat, that was phenomenal. Panda Cake will take them out of the fight, but the res is immediately there from Ami to bring them back in. Mikart's trying to do his part there to take out somebody, and Grail goes for the tire, and both he and his creation, she and her, no, he and her creation, removed from the fight. Killer T-cells, they punch back one more time, and a desperate scramble from Panda Cake to escape the fight, and they get out with their charge.
Oh, you can just tell that unfortunately we don't have these beautifully mixed lobbies all the time, Phil.
Nope,
It's getting used to us for us. But you know what? We want to give them the spotlight they all deserve. Now, we will see Cheddar finally having that Blizzard online. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with it. Are they going to combine it with one of the tank ultimates? Are they just going to throw it out single and then the rest of the team follows up? That's really what that's a strategizing move, you know, who makes that call?
Kiddo with speed on his side, looking to try and take the Shatter into the range of the enemy, but the Blizzard is out from Cheddar. But so far, it's a 1v1. There's the 2v1 as Grail goes down here. Cheddar, the difference maker here with the Blizzard.
Cheddar just soloing that. Didn't even need same follow-up, but now comes behind the enemy team as well. Going to try and freeze up Panda Cake. This Mei is proving amazing.
I mean, look, even if you die there, you keep Panda Cake out of the fight, stop some of that energy coming through, and buy space for the barrage to come through, burn through the bubble, and bump Panda Cake back to spawn.
It wasn't even just for the barrage to get the space. The res was able to come off. You actually saw Amy think, you know what, SWAT Cat, if you barrage, I don't need to heal you. It's not a suicide ultimate. I'll just res up our Zarya and we'll be fine. I mean, it happened to work out. Oftentimes you see that fire just go down anyways, but right now, Mikart going over to Zenyatta, they just feel like they need to do more damage. Grill onto the soldier. Giannator has been on the Ashe for a little bit already. It's quite the swap up that they're making, but it might work. We've seen Grill do wonders with attack fires before.
And it's, of course, going to make it that little bit easier to deal with Swatka here. This is a nice coalescence. The wall stops the retreat. Out comes the grab from Panda Cake, but they're already down Killua. They needed Killua to swing into that Graviton Surge to find some value with it. And now the slowest charging ultimate in the game is off the table for high performance with 1 minute 10 left in the bank. Oh my days, that fire strike from a day.
I'm really liking this defense so far. I mean, you know, we said that they were doing very well in Rialto. The switches have definitely come through. Amy and SWAT Cat together on that Mercy Spara. There's just... It might even be a bit an upgrade over Light Bulb, but honestly, they're doing just as well as before, so that sub made no difference, if not an improvement. So, very happy to see this still continue for them.
Man, and if you are high performance here, you're about to be pushing into a blizzard, providing that Cheddar doesn't get focused down there. Another shatter into a shield from Panda Cake. That's a much better one. Killua put on the ground. The blizzard is there as well. Really cracking that ice out from under Cheddar's blizzard. We'll see Ami go down here, but the damage has now been done as Grail falls, and we approach 20 seconds on the clock. Tiana Torre just smushed under the power of the rocket. The wall walls out the barb, and this is not looking good for high performance right now.
No, only 7 seconds to go. He can barely even touch. I think Killua is going to try it. Of course, has that Reinhardt shield to walk up a little bit safer, but barely touch and already under so much pressure.
Barrage available now for SWAT Cat. Might be waiting for this grab to properly lock everybody into place. No, not going to go for it. Will find one with the barrage, but the Helix rocket takes them out of the fight. There's the grab, locks up Mikart. We do have a slippery tracer on the point to keep this going, but there's only so much slip in the world available to you on the tracer.
Yeah, so 1 minute 98, that's where the cart is going to stop. It's not where it stopped here. It's a bit further forward. They did actually get past that second corner in earlier on the map, so it's a bit closer to point B than the cart is currently at. That's at least something to be happy about, but this is not a huge distance to push on King's Row. Of course, first point A is relatively holdable, and the Streets phase has a lot of good defensive places, but still, you would have rather gotten it a bit further. It's a very clear win condition from Killer T-Cells here, and if they're going to continue what they've been doing so far, it should be even more advantageous on their attack, because they've been very good at putting pressure enemy team and going more on the aggressive than on the reactive modes.
This has been such a topsy-turvy series so far. When you think about the relative swings in fortune between Busan and Rialto and now King's Row, where a hold on streets is not really a thing you see all that often. Like, normally it's a hold on A or it's a hold on C. Like, street races tend to be very quick. This has been very, very good from Killer T-Cells on the defense. And high performance look a little bit lackluster compared to what we saw in Rialto.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, high performance, honestly, right now is not really putting up that high performance. They aren't really switching up heroes that much. That was actually more on the side of the defense. But the subsequent answer to that, like feeling maybe we need to change up something, wasn't really coming out until that last minute. It needs to come out sooner. You need to be more decisive in what you want to do. And I really like this defense. Double barrier with the Torbjorn Ash. I mean, it's great. Honestly, just give me more turrets. And if we get lucky, Phil, maybe even a mythical hammer kill.
Oh, very possibly. Grail's a 3K player, knows to be looking for those hammer kills. They are worth their weight in gold, of course, but this is so aggressive, so confident, so forceful coming in from Killer T-Cells. They find the opening frag. There is space for the res to come through, but there's only one res available, and there are 2 players down. Now 3 players down. This has been a phenomenal offense coming in from Killer T-Cells. They lose Amy, but that is all they lose here. Grail still in the fight. Might get a couple of shots in, looking for a frag. Instead, is just going to have to make himself scarce. Running away from the Ash, 14 HP, pops the overload, just makes it out in time.
I think they just didn't see SWAT Cat, because that would have been a beautiful kill to just take that Ash out from behind, headshot, right click, and she's done. But unfortunately, Grail didn't see that. They get out with their life, and now they did get the early kill on the mid kips. It's a lot of damage, a lot of sustain gone.
I mean, this is very unfortunate. That's a lot of your damage taken off the table. And now you've got no tanks, no sustainability, no frontline presence at all here from Killer T-Cells. High performance back on the cart and having to, well, being able to take a very good defensive hold here right at the choke.
And the longer these fights go, the more the chances that high performance get to start cycling through their ultimates, the better. All they really want is to get those bobs online, the molten cores, the superchargers, and they do. They are getting them now.
That was a heck of a coach gun blast. Stops the bob coming through too much further and adds through the bob of the road. There's the shatter. It's a big one. It's 5 on the ground. The charge comes through. 3 kills on the board already for Killer T-Cells. The turret goes down and the molten core is the last sad refuge of this fight, as what is left of high performance have to back away from this fight.
I would have liked that molten core. I mean, I would have liked that multi-core to come out in the archway, but it just didn't. It would have been a beautiful choke to just deny a lot of space for the supports and the DPS. But right now, they're just trying to defend on this corner. They have to. This cart's getting so close to the end, Phil.
Oh, it's a big shadow, but they're already down several players. There's a lot of damage that needs to come in over the top, and they are starting to find cracks in the armor here. But Ade is now back, courtesy of the res, and takes Killua out of the fight. Sunlion is able to find Meatcart here as well, and it is now Panda Cake with the mercy pocket of Senior XD on the cart, trying to keep this going that little bit longer. Tianatori has the bomb. He's going to have to throw this in here to keep it going. We'll get the knockdown. Cheddar's going to be taken out. The wall is up to protect what remains of Killer T-Cells, but high performance, they've got the numbers in their favor. But the Bob comes through, starts to find picks, finds Senior XD, and that is it all done and dusted. Bar these final few players left on the cart, desperately, valiantly trying to stagger this out. 180 is going to find Killua here. It's now the Wrecking Ball and the Lucio just valiantly trying to buy time, but there's not much more happening. The grab comes out, and in the final few seconds, we see them tag across the line.
The Killer T-Cells go up 2-1 in the series, and so far, very deservedly so. They had a bit of a hiccup on Busan. Was relatively close still, but after that, they have just been looking very confident, very dominant. Panda Cake does get the play of the game here, and I think they've been playing a more than decent Zarya throughout this series, but it's just not coming out from certain players. Like, Chintor is not quite hitting the amount of shots that you would like for there to be a valued performance. It's not even like you have that sort of that median of like, this is how many shots you need to hit and damage you need to do to get sort of a consistent normal performance. And I think Chintor is not quite hitting that right now. Same thing sort of goes for Grail. I mean, we saw the beautiful attack visor on Busan earlier on, but since then it's kind of been a very lackluster performance, has not been hitting as much. And a lot of that just comes down with the way they're playing right now. I think both Grail and Gentor are playing very disconnected from the rest of their team. Oftentimes things will just have transpired, and then they're like, oh, maybe I should also throw out an ultimate, or maybe I should actually take part in the fight. It feels like they're expecting players from Killer T cells to come from angles or come at times when they're just not doing it, when they're fighting with the rest of their team. And that awareness or the expectation is just not met right now. So High Performance need to reassess how they play as a squad mostly, because if they cannot connect that front backline and the DPS together, there will always be this sort of advantage that Killer T cells naturally has by playing as a team.
And High Performance are making some adaptations here. We've got some substitutions coming in. Killua out for Rookie, and Temp in for Meekart here as well. So a change up in tank line and support line here. Again, a little bit hard to say whether this is to give everyone some fair play time or because there is a specific strategic accounting being undertaken here by High Performance. But again, it's going to be a 33% different team to the last time we saw them play. And maybe this is what they need to turn things around and take us to a equal match point at 2 apiece. Because right now, Killer T cells, they need that one additional map, and that is it. They have taken the series in the first to 3 format.
Yeah, and if we're looking at in terms of SR, support wise, they're not really upgrading with this. It's just fairly even, basically. I would say the same player, but they are very similar in skill level. But tank wise, Rookie coming in here with quite a big difference over Killua, that could definitely make a difference, especially in the main tank is often like really a shot caller and game leader, trying to set the pace for the team, make the space, do the big brain plays. You might not have as much aim as a main tank all the time, but if you can make sure that you pressure out the other team correctly, make those Reinhardt switches, get the better shatters, or block the other shatters. There's a lot that comes into that could be very valuable to the rest of the team, and that can just completely flip this series if they really want to, or if they manage to do so, manage to have that play in. So I'm looking forward to that. Always looking forward to see some more tank play making a difference in the series rather than just saying, oh, the DPS popped off. And while that's not the only thing that's been going on this series, it has been a very decisive factor. That Cheddar and SWAT have just been so good.
Yeah, it's been a big part of it when you consider that SWATCat had 68% kill involvement in that previous round. It says that there is a lot of work being done here by the very talented Hitscan on the side of Killer T cells. And we've spoken a little bit about some of the adaptations High Performance have been making. Noticeable that I did think we were having a substitution there. I looked for a second like Decibel was going out and Mudkip's back in. Looks like they've reversed that decision. So I'm going to back away from the point I was making.
Yeah, so Decibel will actually stay in and Midkips will stay out, meaning that the tank line will now be shaken up. And we saw Decibel before on the DPS world, of course, did a pretty good job on that one. But now, Decibel coming in on the off tank potentially, probably on the off tank, honestly. I mean, it's a pseudo DPS role, so if you're a DPS player, off tank will usually suit you. We saw that coming in during the GOATS meta, and even after that, when more tanks came to be a thing. We saw it in quad tank way back in the day, especially in Europe. A lot of DPS players going over to that Roadhog, to that Zarya was fun times, Phil. I remember them like they were yesterday, but unfortunately, we're not in that anymore. This is still fun. Wow. Okay, so
this is
we were wrong.
It's still a take DPS everything we just said, put it in a
tank.
blender, and spin the handle because this is all changed.
It's fine. It's fine though. Like the theory, or like the history lesson still stands. DPS players still playing an off tank. This time, most SWATCat will go over to that off tank role. So Decibel will take up the DPS spot. That does take more. I think that has more impact on how the DPS lineup works, how the DPS matchup goes, than it does on the tank matchup. I think the tank lineup has already been good for Killer T cells, and the DPS line has as well. But with Decibel going over to the DPS and SWATCat missing, that might give more opportunity for Grail and Gentor to actually give them a proper challenge.
And one last change up to the lineup here. Gonzo coming in on support over Lightbulb, who has been in for the previous 2 maps. I don't think we've seen Gonzo so far this evening, so interested to see what we have. Okay, you've got a much younger than I am.
I think Gonzo was on DPS on the first map, actually. On Busan.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Gonzo's
they're really
team sheet
here.
Yeah, Pharah, Widow, Tracer, Ashe, Soldier. None of those typically support players.
And there's a lot of things that could go on. Maybe someone had to go, and we can ask afterwards. How their roster just makes these decisions, why they do it. For now, we can only speculate. Gonzo will at least be on the DPS together with Amy. Amy doing a great job on that Mercy. So, that's still in there, still able to support Cheddar and Decibel to a large degree. But of course, we are looking at Gonzo now taking up the flex support mantle, as we call that. On the other side, like we said, the only thing that really changed is now Rookie is in instead of their previous main tank. So we'll have a new Reinhardt player, beautifully lined up, and they will still be on the same sides. High Performance has to attack first, has to show that they can set a pace here on Hanamura to maybe make Killer T cells have a bit of sweat, be a bit nervous, but so far they don't really have a reason to.
And I think it's worth noting that your prediction here that, DPS player coming in on the off tank almost certainly means they're going to be playing the Zarya here. SWATcat picking up that particular mantle. And I smell cheese here from High Performance. A stinky one in particular.
Symmetra teleporting Bastion onto a high ground to just tear down everyone. Or
high ground
teleport
point.
with
Symmetra.
Because now, but the thing is, they could just teleport into point, leave Centaur in the in main, and if they don't realize the Bastion's there, that's just free Bastion damage. But I think they're gonna go up to point, to high ground above it. Nope, just straight to it. Let's see if they can get the value, Phil.
But you're right. Centaur is staying away the back, pressures down the shield, puts in a lot of damage, sprays that around, and the first pick is through. AD is down. Now, there's no main support, there's no main tank, and the stinky cheese strat is already bearing fruit, if you can excuse the mixed metaphor here. Decibel down. There's a lot of charge for SWATcat. It's a big sleep coming through, but it's too little, too late, and the stinky cheese strat wins out.
I'm really curious what they're going to do on point B, because there's a lot of different options. They could just walk through main and try and teleport on the left high ground on that deck. I think they're going to go over the cliff with that Bastion, but we're still wondering, where is this Bastion going to go for point B? Are they going to go with the rest of the team and set up on a high ground, or are they going to walk away to another place and go on an off angle? Oh, he misses the teleport!
Oh no, Centaur just completely stuffed up this offense. It's a 5v6, and without that particular punching power of the Bastion there, it becomes a lot harder. We'll see Cheddar go down here, momentarily equalizing before Decibel punches back, and with the wind at their backs, Killer T cells start to close the distance. Teleporter is still up, so we can see them close the distance. Grail goes down, and that's the defense halted. Centaur is swapping over onto the Soldier now.
Oh, and how different is that fight if your Bastion doesn't just walk off the map after the teleport? I will say the teleport was very much on the edge. It was a very tight window, and if you teleport just after someone, you can like pushed off, so that might have happened. But still, that's something you don't want to see, and it would have been so... I mean, imagine that Bastion just being set up behind the shield the entire time. That's just a difference. Beautiful Barry coming out here from Grail, though, splitting up that objective and putting their team in a much more safe position.
We just got a tick given up for free. The Shadow's out. Ade has one of their own, but he gets pushed right into the back. And this has been, even with that misstep of the Bastion succumbing into the depths, this has been blisteringly fast from High Performers. We're looking at nearly a 5-minute time bank and no chance of a recontest. Killer T cells gotta be feeling pretty bad on the back of that one.
That was just beautifully executed. I mean, the first time around, yes, you missed it with that Bastion, but it didn't matter because that second fight they had on point B, throwing that shield to just cut up that point, just split it down the middle. They got that first take for free, and then they can still hide behind the barrier. Every member that was still alive for the side of Killer T cells was either on the high ground trying to jump back on point, and they just got barraged with damage, and they couldn't do anything back. There's what is it? 10,000 HP shield in the middle, 15,000. It's a lot of health. I think I once did the math, and I think Roadhog's ultimate can actually shred it, but it takes so long to shred it that the ultimate is basically gone by the time you've used your whole hog ultimate. Like it's basically pointless to try and take it down.
Nano boosted, damage boosted Bastion can do it fairly quickly, but the best option is usually the EMP. But EMP, unless you farm it very quick, is very difficult to use in the sort of situation where you get surprised by the cheese comp. Like, you just don't have any time to do anything with it.
Yeah, honestly. And I mean, they could have figured that wall was coming out, and they were fairly slow in their rotation back to point. But still, it was a very good strategy, and it's one that we often see on Hanamura, of course, especially the Symmetra in particular. The Bastion, not as much. It's been less present as of late, but still, every time it does come out, it is still a joy to watch. Some people like stinky cheese, Phil. It's just a delicacy.
Well, I'm not going to fight you on that one in particular, but no Stinky Cheese coming out from Killer T-Cells here. Instead, they're sending the Sombra secretly and surreptitiously around behind the point to, I suspect, tag in and draw some focus. There's the hack. Nice safe space to retreat to, and time to start ringing that bell to make them turn around and face you. Spots that there is a low HP target in the form of Grail, but Senior XD is there to help them out, and we do have one pick already.
Yeah, already the first one down, 3.5 minutes, and Rocky just finds the Fire Striker to Amy as well. Killer T-Cells just getting slowed down every single step they take. It's not good when you have such a big time bank to work against.
And I think this is maybe slightly misstep in playstyle. Like, Cheddar should just be here trying to farm EMP off tanks. Like, get the damage in, get the EMP, win on that, rather than drawing focus, maybe.
Hey, there's different options. Definitely, charging EMP is always a big part of playing Sombra and then using it with your team. But right now, the ult charge is so heavily in favor of the defense. High performance really stepping it up in this map. And Rocky coming in on that Reinhardt is a big part of that. It's a much more even tank lineup right now.
Man, Decibel in again to draw some focus and try and just break the point this way. Does get a couple of cheeky shots through there onto Rocky, but is now on their own on the point. Oh, 2 kills, 3 kills! Decibel's able to find Rocky here. We'll see 1 tick just about gained there, but likely to see High Performance coming back in here to keep this going. And that's it. Grail back in. The high damage from the Junkrat puts paid to that offensive push.
I'm really liking this defense so far. I mean, you have Centaur just being able to shoot from range, from the dynamite, get the shots out, the fire strikes, and the right clicks from Panda Cake. They've been also really good. Grill, of course, with Junkrat doing a lot of spam damage, but even Temp and Senior XD really helping out with the extra damage boost, the anti-nades. It's all coming together for them on this defense so far.
Yeah, really, we want one nice big ult push coming in from Killer Focus. Killer T-Cells, the second that they've got this EMP online. Instead, it's Grail that starts things off. And 2 kills on the Shatter from Rocky. Not even the follow-up damage, just the Shatter itself is huge. 2 ults invested here by High Performance, and they've still got, 3 ults with the Mercy ult as well. They're going to have 3 in this next fight. Killer T-Cells only just getting theirs online now, Classy.
Oh, I don't want to be the guy that criticizes Shatter use because I love it, but if you get 2 kills with the Shatter, you're gonna almost wonder whether you even needed it because it does 50 damage on impact.
Yeah, it's 50.
It's this is a fire strike or a swing, but then again, time to kill. Sometimes you just want to get it over with.
Grab-a-rooney out from Pancake and 2 kills on the back of it, courtesy of Grail. Now that's the minute mark hit here for Killer T-Cells. Lots of glowing check marks here available for them. It's got to be this next fight or bust.
It's EMP. You have to EMP the tanks and get over them. Make sure that Senior XD cannot res anything up, and you will be able to get that follow-up. But it's so important that they don't just get peppered by Grill. That tire that they are about to get online, that cannot find value. Otherwise, this might just be over before it starts.
Oh, there's the EMP and the grab it over the top. That's fine 4. It's going to be Grail with the defensive tire. Finds 1. It's only Cheddar. Man advantage momentarily for Killer T-Cells. Bob on the point here as well. 2 ticks now gained for Killer T-Cells. This is going to be them getting the cap here. There is a nano-boosted Junkrat in play, which is a stupendous amount of damage, but not a stupendous amount of survivability. Did see the Shadow come out here as well. And finally, point A cracked by Killer T-Cells.
After 4 minutes, actually. Yeah. And that means that they are already 1.5 minutes slower. And they haven't even touched point B yet. That's such a big time bank difference that already comes in. The only hope you really have on the other side is trying to get it over 2 minutes, but that's basically winning the fight right now. Otherwise, you're never going to get that. Early sound barrier to entry, though.
What is this? An aggressive sound barrier, and it's not even enough to keep Gonzo alive and in the fight. And now the Shadow is out too. Focus there from Rocky was to try and take SWAT-Cat out of the fight, but he falls down onto the low ground. But the fight is more or less done here. SWAT-Cat and Amy are not enough to keep this fight going.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. The kindergarten math equation not working in your favor. You think, oh, we have sound barrier, we can block more damage. But you also have to take into account that Senior XD is constantly damage boosting that Junkrat. That you have more dynamite come in, the fire strike, the right clicks from the Zarya. Like, it's not just that Junkrat that you have to survive. And a sound barrier, while it's very helpful, it doesn't protect you from just walking into a barrage of damage. It protects you from damage hitting you every now and then while you're fighting.
Grail falls very low. Nice focus there from SWAT Cat. Tracked him down immediately and dealt with him. It's 5v6, but we've got the Bob available here for Tianatori. Can equalize this quite easily. Sadly, falls prey to his own TNT there and momentarily has to work his way around and out of the line of fire. He's got 4 HP and Decibel knows where he is. There's the Bob on the point and finds the quick double, bringing a round of tea, crumpets, and death here for the big Omnic Butler.
Now we're getting into a situation where realistically, this next fight needs to be won and the point needs to be kept in that fight. Otherwise, there will not be another attack here for the side of the Killer T cells. And after the last 2 maps, this is a very big turnaround that they managed to get on them on the side of High Performance. Really, really happy to see this. That Grill's finding the value, Rocky's coming in. Temp is even doing a lot of work on that support line. Like, it's all actually working out for them at the moment.
We've got 1 minute left on the clock. Cheddar has 6 HP and an EMP. He's round the back with the hacked Mega. Big EMP here is going to be vital for this fight win to come through. There's the Graviton Surge out from Panda Cake, AD, and SWAT Cat down already. Cheddar's going to have to hold on to this EMP a little bit longer because, no, it comes out now with the team down around her. It's a big EMP, but there's nothing anybody can do with it.
It's funny, because in the break, we were talking about, oh yeah, it's funny that if you're, not particularly amazingly high SR, that you choose to keep going for these very team-based heroes. Like the Sombra, the EMP really needs follow-up from the rest of your team, and Cheddar is proving it right there, that every now and then, you throw an EMP and no one else is there, it just doesn't find anything, and what a shatter!
Wow, what a shatter, likely to stop them really getting onto the point in a meaningful way. Sound barrier not yet available for Amy, and even if she can get this off, which she can't because she's dead, she's down and out, there's nothing more that can be done here. And this match, Classy, continues to be the biggest metronome I have ever seen in my life, wildly swinging from one team to another across maps. We are at 2-2 after 2 maps, and who knows how this final is going to go.
Yeah, at this point, we really have no clue who's going to come out on top. Because we keep saying, oh yeah, this dude's doing really well, or these players are doing really well. But then they swap up their entire lineup. They have constantly, like, it's actually on the side of High Performance. They don't swap that much. Like, they're bringing a new tank and a new support, which actually is usually quite a big swap up. But mainly on that side of Killer T cells, they don't even bring up a different support, a different DPS, and a different tank. But they swap up what roles these hero players have been playing before as well. So they essentially come in with an entirely different team, and that really shows on a map like that. You don't get that Ash value that SWAT Cat was getting before. The supports aren't quite finding the same amount of damage boost and protection that they were before, and even on the tank line, SWAT Cat was a really good Ash, but that Zarya DPS just wasn't coming out in the same way that it was from Panda Cake. So you gotta wonder why they made that decision, and we'll definitely get to talk about someone about that later on. Don't worry about that. Right now, all we can do is speculate, and I gotta say, I just hope there are gonna be more swap ups and we get another completely different match in this next control map, which is gonna be the last of the series.
It is, but whilst Classy and I go and put our heads together over a blackboard and try and figure out exactly what's going on here, we are going to throw it to a very short break, but please tune in soon for the thrilling conclusion of Killer T Cells versus High Performance. we've done the research, we've tracked it down, we think we've gotten to the root of the problem. And Classy, hopefully you'll agree with me in this summarization. The winner of this series is going to be one of these two teams. We've finally cracked it.
I think we've done the math. I think we got there, Phil. They're 2-2, and normally that means if the first of 3 series, bear with me here, the one who wins this map, which cannot be a draw, has done 3 wins, and 3 wins equals a win in the first of 3 series. I think we got there. I think we did it. I haven't slept in 3 minutes, but I think
that is
we
a
got
record
there.
for you. Yeah, I think we got there. I think we got it figured out.
Definitely got it.
So a couple of swaps. Sunlion now back in for Killer T Cells. SWAT Cat still on the off-tank role for now, though. In fact, doesn't look like there's going to be any more changes.
No, this is indeed what they're going to be running with. And that's surprising. I mean, Amy was doing a really good job on that Mercy before. It's now being swapped out for Sunlion again. So maybe Sunlion now picks up that role. And then Gonzo is the flex support, which we saw is also different than what we've seen before. But yeah, High Performance running with the same roster. And why not? They did so well just now on Hanamura. We know that they're good enough on Control. They won it last time around. So, you know, when I look at all of this and the past few maps, I mean, my conspiracy theory is pointing me towards High Performance taking this one out. Looking at the history, you know, they won Control already. Might as well do it again. But we'll have to see whether that's also what's actually going to go down.
Okay, well, looks like we've got our last map lined up. We are getting ready to go into it. This time, no need to worry about who's on attack or defense, of course, because Control these perfectly symmetrical maps, except for a couple of instances where those health packs are just like a couple of pixels too far either side, which is still not patched out. But going to be starting on Gardens. And, you know, for me, Classy, Gardens suggests at the very least a Pharah coming out. Like a good early value from a long-range Pharah with some boops or some rockets could be what really sets the tempo.
And we've seen it before, but we saw it last time we saw it was from SWAT Cat, and we haven't really seen it from High Performance. So if anyone's going to do it, it would be Decibel or Cheddar, but they're both not really seeming to want to go for that so far. Actually, it's going to be a very, very meta setup coming out on the side of T cells. We know this. We have cast the trials and everything. This is all what they're running right now. It's Reinhardt, Zarya. I mean, often it will be Reinhardt Diva, but you know, it's close enough. And then Diva that Lucio Moira, the Reaper. If Cheddar teleports them out of spawn and switches to Sombra, we're done. We got everything down. And it looks probably like what they're gonna do because, of course, we're expecting Cheddar to be more of a Sombra main. But no, Symmetra's gonna stay. They want to take control of that point and just put the turrets down. But they're getting met in the White Room, Phil.
And somehow High Performance beat them to the punch on this one. The SWAT Cat finds the own pick and takes a huge amount of the damage off the table there for Grail. Grail is now brought back into the fight and starts to find kills. That's a 1v1 trade. Cheddar puts down the turrets to stop White Room being aggressed into. SWAT Cat gets up to 99 energy, finds the D-Mech, and it was a weird push in with the TP going down where it did, but Killer T Cells, an aggressive push and first cap.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were wanting to like, do we just TP to point, and they still chose to go through White Room. Like, it did work out in the end for them. Don't get me wrong, it did, but maybe it shouldn't have. If High Performance is on point there and just make sure that Grail gets all the Junkrat fire in, that's impossible to get into the White Room there. Unfortunately, that didn't go down for High Performance. Now they have to fight back into this, and now the teleporter might provide a massive spawn advantage throughout these fights.
I mean, look, if I was Scanatory here, I would be trying to take down that TP just to stop the infinite stall coming through. So 1-for-1, 2-for-1, 3-for-1 trade. Beautiful play there by Ade and Cheddar taking them down. We'll see Grail investing a little bit of time in taking down some turrets, but the damage has now been done because the D-Mech is through. No multi-billion-dollar mech suit available for Rookie, and we see another hold here for Killer T Cells.
Temp going over to the Zenyatta now, just want to provide more damage to their team, and of course, if you just score a target and Grail does damage on it, it is a 30% damage boost. It's pretty darn damaging, pretty darn explosive. And now they'll have the tire as well. Bomb is ready. This could be a good fight, but Temp doesn't even make it close to the objective.
Oh, okay, we're still going for it, and Grail's the difference maker. 3 kills with the wheels. SWAT Cat's punching back, finds 2, finds 3 here, and somehow Grail's triple wasn't enough here because SWAT Cat is still alive, still has energy, still has the support of the wall from spawn from Cheddar. And it's a shutout so far by Killer T Cells.
Killer T-Cells looking so good on this point right now. Like, that's Symmetra. Even though you don't see her in the kill feed all the time, it provides so much extra pressure. It slows people down with the turrets. The shields are getting burned all the time. It's amazing.
Oh, what a sound barrier from Sunline. Protects through the shatter. Came out just as the shatter landed. It's 98%, and it is blue, blue, blue in the kill feed.
Ah, Killer T-Cells just walking over them right now. You almost wonder where did they go on Hanamura and Busan, because this is just a showing that we have never seen the likes of. It's so dominant. And at this point, you do gotta wonder whether it was all just down to compositional dominance just from the first fight on. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't an impressive showing. I mean, if they're going up to a mirror match on the next point, which is going to be Night Market, you see a very different story come out. I already see Grill swapping straight over to that Pharah right now, which could be an actual very valuable pick here, especially if there's no hitscan on the other side. No Diva, no Ashe, no Sombra, no Tracer, no nothing. And then the rest of the team, all they have to do is stall out. They don't have to start, like, just straight on engage. That's what needs to not happen. That tank line, that support line, even the Ashe, what they need to do is buy time for the Pharah to find value. And that's why Chantor also goes over to the Tracer, wants to poke some extra, go from different angles, make sure that, there's never really attention from the side of Killer T-Cells looking at one hero, but at all of them at the same time. They look for it, but again, they don't do it.
Weird.
Teleporter.
I think Cheddar was struggling to get the TP online, and man, they spent so much time in the choke trying to make that happen that they take all the damage in the world, and they give Grail 63% of that barrage. They had it. If they'd got that defense set up, that would have been so hard to crack.
And Grail just paying them back for saying SWAT Cat. I'd like to see a counter this triple kill, because this one was, again, it was so beautiful. Now, indeed, you said so close to the barrage, already ready. Rocky close to a shatter. This is going to be so hard to push into.
They've got to take a couple of losing fights here or somehow find an impressive first pick. SWAT Cat now over onto the Diva, but they've lost Gonzo already. They can push in here, but they're just going to end up giving over ult charge because they cannot win this fight.
No, it's not that easy to just push into this, and you need to give over more ult charge. Ults have to be invested because, well, honestly, high performance just to recognize that they didn't have to use ultimates in that fight. They do demag the Diva there. I hear you say, oh no, that's because Diva now has to either jump off the map or go back to the spawn to try and switch the mech back in. SWAT Cat chooses for the first option, to take their own lives and then respawn with the mech to not lose the ult charge, even though it's only 40%. But yeah, 50% and counting, Phil. It's going very well, high performance, as well as Killer T-Cells did on map 1. So map 2 is completely for them.
The previous 4 maps that have been the metronome and operating capacity, now that we're into the final sub-map, it's suddenly doubled in pace. Like, this has been a complete shutout here from high performance. They've got ults to play with. Gonna see the shadow come through from Rocky. We'll see a kill come through from SWAT Cat, but Grail pulls out the barrage. Finds Cheddar, gets the DMEC at 76% and climbing here. Ult thrown at the fight by high performance, but they've secured final fight territory.
They could just go aggressive and just use the Graviton in their spawn door, but they choose to just stick on the point. I mean, it is environmentally friendly to be here, and they of course have a Wrecking Ball behind them to worry about, but that Graviton could have just shut it out.
Really could. A-Day doesn't quite get the tag onto the point there, I don't think. Got body blocked. We'll see overtime come through. Tianatori now has this pulse bomb ready to go as Rocky falls to A-Day. Tianatori looking for someone to put this, needs to be careful of the Diva defense matrix, needs to be very quick to make sure that doesn't come through. We'll see kills now start to appear for Killer T-Cells, and they've managed the flip at 99-0.
Yeah, they also hold on to quite a few ultimates. They didn't even have to use any of those to get into it other than the Coalescence. And now on the other side, there's still only the Pulse Bomb and the Graviton. They really couldn't use much else aside from the Valkyrie in that fight. And that Graviton is still very impactful ultimate. It's still something that can get a lot of value, especially if you combine it with the Pulse Bomb. But they really need to be careful that SWAT Cat is not getting hungry today.
And of course, it's going to be very hard for Grail to push into Decibel and Cheddar, who both have homing, auto-aiming ultimates to shut them down with. Nice use of the bubble there, but it's not enough to keep Rocky alive through that. Panda Cake develops a whole amount of charge and temp, brings Rocky back into the fight. There's the sound barrier over the top of the tactical visor, and Signor is down. Decibel with a second. Grail sneaks in round behind, finds one with the barrage, but gets taken out by that Helix rocket as well. And that's gonna be Killer T-Cells holding on here as we round the 50% marker.
Yeah, this is where you gotta see some swaps or some different types of strategy coming out from High Performance. They sort of figured like they'd already won, but they didn't push their advantage enough. They just sat back and waited for Killer T-Cells to come back into it. Now Killer T-Cells is ready with a minefield, and that's gonna be detrimental.
High Noon comes out, does some body damage, but not really enough to make anybody wary of this one. And she falls herself right into the line of fire there of Tiana Torre and gets focused out of it. Grail's now back over on to the Junkrat and looking for frags. Tiana Torre finds A-Day and Grail starts to close the distance, surging in behind Panda Cake. Has to duck to get out of the line of fire of that Coalescence because there's little or nothing you can do to protect against that. Gonzo's able to find one. Is that enough to stem the bleeding? Shatter out from Rocky. This looks like this might be the recap here for High Performance. It's going to be down to the minefield, and Cheddar is going to be deleted from this. Can't keep that stall going that much longer as Rocky finds the double. The mines are up. It's 99 to 99. Cap not quite here yet. Overtime is ticking down. SWAT Cat back onto the point, but heavily bullied. DMEX has the self-destruct. Unlikely to get back into the make, but does find Panda Cake and buys time for Sunline to work their way back into the fight here. We get Cheddar back in on the Sombra, finds the hack onto Rocky. They need to capitalize that and find the kill here because right now High Performers are finding high tempo kill after high tempo kill after high tempo kill. Gonzo down. Decibel desperately looking for frags here, but that is it. Over and done. It's 1-1. We're going to the pointiest edge of the wedge for the final map here, Classy.
That was close, though. High Performance almost giving that away, but when in doubt, play Junkrat. It keeps working for Grail when they come back into it. Had accrued enough advantage on that fire before, so they could walk in, and somehow they're allowed to walk around this entire team from Killer T-Cells and just throw nades from an off angle. And every time that happens, you have no performance, no protection, no peel against those grenades. It will find so much value, and that's exactly what Grill was managing to do there. Did manage to also stay alive with their tanks. It was a beautiful boop to get a kill on the Panda Cake on the Zarya. They self-destruct, but this wasn't enough, and now we're going inside. Junkrats, Reinhardt, Zaryas, overall, same support line with the Mercy and the Moira, but Decibel over to that Pharah versus Tiana Torre on the Ashe, and Projectile versus Hit Scan on this map. Usually Projectile does very well.
Yeah, but it's going to be on to Decibel to try and find value here, because he's going to take some really weird angles, and Grail has already found the pick with a Mercy boost at the pocket. Cheddar's going to go down. Here is Decibel and SWAT Cat find the double. Sunline brings Cheddar back in. Decibel, low health, at very serious risk of being found out by Tiana Torre, who gets in with the TNT. Deals with Decibel, but too little too late because SWAT Cat is aglow with the joy of playing Zarya. Finds the triple, and that's the first cap here for Killer T-Cells.
Yeah, it was a beautiful first kill on the Cheddar by Grill, but unfortunately they couldn't capitalize further on that. The tank line was being pushed too far back, and Grill's off-angle positioning was just putting them into their own demise. Now they're going to run into each other in a very similar fashion. They're going to go through the server room, it looks like, and they might catch them off guard. I don't think this rotation was properly spotted out.
Now, I think SWAT Cat was tracking them, gave the signal there that they were available for getting caught in the rotation. This is unfortunate. We saw Cheddar get out and leave Sunline behind. Sunline is now down at a 2, and we're looking at a very swift swing back here. And the metronome is getting quicker and quicker by the submap, because this submap in particular is the most prone to point flips.
It really is, and Decibel does get to kind of temp late. Temp can, of course, be supported by going back, but it also means you cannot go too aggressive if you're missing one of those supports. You cannot just push them back into their spawn, that spawn door. You have to stay a bit further back. Maybe Panda Cake didn't quite get the memo, but they are playing relatively defensively. They don't have to push that far forward, getting closer to that Grav, but SWAT Cat's already got it. It's Shadow versus Grav, and that's really, really scary if you were that Grav team.
Ooh, Cheddar already down here. High performance with a man advantage. Shatter out as Cheddar gets brought back into the fight at a down, and that's got to be a loser ruining of a fight here for Killer Focus with the main tank down. Decibel Focus down by Tianatori with a boost to the pocket. Guns is able to find Grail here, but Tianatori is in charge of the point for now and is raining in body blows from afar.
Ruki has just been able to outperform Andy, hitting a lot of charges, a lot of shatters, and that tank line has just been powered up by the addition of that main tank. Now, beautiful graph comes out.
Yeah, man, locks them up either side of the wall there, only finds one pick. Grail tries something with the tire. It's going to be Cheddar that finds the better one. Both Junkrats down on the back of that one. We've got a bob here from Tianatori, I think, just to try and pressure out Decibel and secure the fight, but High Performance still in charge. Sunlight reses Decibel back in, which signals that Killer T-Cells might be ready to come back in. Graviton Surge out from SWAT-Cat, barrage in over the top with a triple from Decibel, and we're looking at another flip here. Decibel finds Rocky, didn't know that there was a fire behind him. Looking at a pick here onto Temp, but ducking and diving with the ult at their back, will survive and get out, and another flip here for Killer T-Cells.
Not like 4 ultimate juice at the same time, though. That's not the value you want to get out of them. Yes, you win the team fight with them, but now you have to hold on with only a shatter. And not that it's not like High Performance necessarily has that much to work with themselves, but it's just you know, if you want to win, just keep on just some ultimates, win more fights with them.
Yeah. Well, that's the acknowledged wisdom here, but a fight win is a fight win. They've got a little bit of time here to generate some more ultimates to assist with the defense. They will have the shatter ready to go. That place in the right place is a team fight win on its own. And look at the distance Decibel can play from here. Zero risk. As long as they are looking at their flanks here, making sure that Tianatori doesn't get the sneak on them, then they're in a great position to just keep damaging everybody with the splash as they come through. There's the pick onto Grail. Don't know that the res is online to bring them back in, and it's at 88 to 88 here. Killer T-Cells now in charge as Rocky goes down, as Tianatori goes down. Now at 95%, High Performance in serious trouble, a serious risk of being shut down here. There's nobody on the point, and this really could not have been a whole lot closer. Killer T-Cells coming in, taking the series 3-2.
So unfortunate there. You see Grill go down in the beginning of that last fight, and missing that Junkrat is so detrimental because they already have the Pharah for the extra shield spam, and if you then also have the Junkrat advantage, yeah, you'll usually go down quite easily. It's exactly what happened. Unfortunately for High Performance, they couldn't come out on top this time, but man, what is a close series. Not that the maps individually were necessarily that close, but the series outcome definitely was.
Yeah, it almost doesn't make a huge amount of sense how close the series was with how non-close the actual individual maps were. Like, I can't think of a time where I've ever been in that particular situation, Classy.
I mean, I can, but I'm not going to name them because, of course, we're talking about this series right now.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a very nice up-and-coming performance here for Killer T-Cells. Means they are now 2-2 within their entire season. High Performance, unfortunately, 1-3. So still some time to come back. But both of these teams, I'm sure, at least had a lot of fun playing this game. It was as much as we had watching and talking about this game, Phil.
Of course, and as you mentioned, plenty of time to come back for them in the series, and there will be plenty of time for us, by which I mean myself and yourself, Classy, to come back after a short break, following which we should have a little interview with a member from each of those teams. So if you're interested, even if you're not, frankly, stay with us and rejoin us after the break for that interview. Welcome back, everybody, to the post show here for the Corporate Esports Association Overwatch tournament. Big Hungry Phil and Classy still with you. And to add to that, a triumvirate of power joining us today for the team interviews are Killer from High Performance and Cheddar and Audi, who was playing as Mudkips, here from Killer T Cells. Now, we do have a lot of stuff to cover around, like, tell us a little about yourself and your company and your charities, but I have a pressing issue, and it's been bothering me for 2 maps now. So, Killua, in particular, Hanamura, what happened to your Bastion on that teleporter? Because it just seemed like they just disappeared. What happened?
All I could see is he went through the teleporter and just fell off the map, and everyone was like, "Where's Chan? Chan?" And he's like, "I fell off."
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah.
So I have
No one
have
saw
idea.
that.
Yeah,
Question mark. Yeah.
Definitely wasn't on broadcast or anything.
Yeah.
So,
No.
Kilo, as we still got you talking, why don't you tell us a little bit about the team? Start with telling us a little bit about your team and the company that you're here from.
Yeah. So, high performance. We've all been kind of playing pretty casually for the past couple of years. I joined about a year ago with Panda Cake. And it was something where we've been casually doing like after hours gaming and whatnot, and just decided a little bit to try to start ramping up and try to be a little bit more formal this year. Well, don't it's going well-ish. We're trying our best. But besides that, yeah, no, we all come from HP, the company that makes all the laptops and the printers and the inkjet stuff and a bunch of other fun random things. Our team is actually split between 5 sites currently all over the US, and then a few from Guadalajara. I specifically work in print production planning, and then we have people ranging from like large industrial printers to a couple on the Omen gaming side, and yeah, just really all over the place.
It's an interesting spread and an interesting range of people involved in that. I'm quite certain. And to move this over to the other side, Killer T Cells, you're an interesting situation for us, being as you are made up of 2 companies. So let's throw to Cheddar first. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your team and Slalom, and then we'll move on to Mudkips or Audi to talk about their company.
Hello, I'm Cheddar. I'm a bronze somber main, but that didn't work out too well for me this stream. But so Slalom Consulting is a consulting firm. We're international. We've got offices mainly in the US, but we've also got offices in Canada, Australia, and the UK. So I am part of Slalom Build, which is the technological side of Slalom. We do custom software solutions, and I do QE testing. As far as Overwatch goes, I've had a little bit of tournament experience, but at Slalom Build, we often do these esports leagues. We have a Valorant team as well, and they scrim a lot with our adaptive folks.
And I guess over to you. Sorry, would you prefer Mudkips or Audi here?
Either one works. Probably just Mudkips just to keep it consistent,
Okay, yeah. The Mudkips, tell us a little about yourself and the adaptive half of the team.
Yes. So I am Mudkips. I am around like a platinum gold player, and I kind of just play everything. But I think I've mostly just been playing tank for the team right now. Our team's kind of interesting in a situation where we actually had a lot of players, but we wanted to just join so we could have more of a consistent like rotation in for our players. So that's why we also had we agreed with Solemn to play together, and it worked out, I think, pretty well. Our company's based up in Seattle. We are a biotech company that specializes in cancer detection of like blood
Wow.
cancers.
Mm.
So it's pretty cool. Um, I personally work in a customers facing kind of situation or like a role. So I kind of just speak with like the doctors and whatnot and like the nurses and the sites to get some samples in and hopefully make sure they're all correct when we're processing them.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and of course, we saw you were talking about the team rotation before, when you're saying, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah, we had like a lot of players in to get give everyone a little bit of a chance to play. Because we were seeing a lot of swaps coming out from both teams, actually. I don't think we've ever seen so many substitutes happen in a series. Like, is there a strategic process to that, or is it just really like, oh, you haven't played yet? Like, how does that work?
A lot of it
Anyone
is
who wants to
like,
take it,
oh, sorry, wait, did I? Okay,
Oh, go ahead, Mudkip. It's fine.
I think for our team, a lot of it was just we have kind of like the main lineup that we start with, and then we just swap in people based on what the maps are a lot of times too. Um, and then I think towards like once enough of us has played like more than 2 or 3 maps, then we start to include like the other people that haven't really been playing as much, just to get like a more even distribution of map play time.
Sure. So no A B team shenanigans, basically. That's
No, absolutely not.
good. And obviously to Killua and Cheddar, the same question. Whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, sure. So, pretty much the same answer there. This was actually the first week that we had like a solid starting comp. We've kind of picked up a coach who's been helping us out a lot, and we really wanted to try to get down like a group to start with and swap as many people as possible because we are a larger team and we are trying to still figure out how to toe that line between like letting everyone play and doing well and whatnot. And so we're still learning what works, what doesn't work, what really doesn't work. So at this point, it's just all fun and games and swapping people in.
Yeah, same answer as Mudkip, seeing we're on the same team. But one thing to note, Sun Lion is our shot caller, so when we lose her, we struggle a little bit sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Big.
Yeah, I can see how that would be problematic. To move things back a little bit to your motivation for being here. Obviously, this is a charity tournament in the grand scheme of things, and I wondered if I could get you all to speak a little bit to why you've picked the charities that you've picked. So I'm actually going to start either Cheddar or Modkips, whoever wishes to field this one. Fred Hutch is not a charity that I know an awful lot about. Could you maybe explain what they do and why you've picked them?
Fred Hutch is also a cancer research company, I guess. They're like a public company. They're actually really close to us. Their base is literally like across the street from
Oh.
Adaptive Ed. So we were very like close together. I believe the founder or like one of the co-founder of Adaptive was also like someone that worked a lot with Fred Hutch, and I think he still does. So it's pretty cool because then we're still tied even to their like fund their charity raises, and they do something called Obliteride, which is every year they have like this run where people run for like cancer. It's like for cancer research and whatnot.
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool.
And then the same question. Sorry, Cheddar. By all means, if you've got anything to add to that, then please feel free to.
Let's beat cancer! Yay!
I think we can all get behind that one. Yeah, let's fully support
100%.
that. And so, Killua, the ACLU is at the very least an acronym that I'm familiar with. Give us a little bit of info as to why you've opted to support them today.
Yeah, so in kind of keeping with HP's values and just the diversity that we pride ourselves on, it seemed remiss, especially given the climate in the U.S. right now, to not go with American Civil Liberties Union.
Well, thank you. Very succinct answer.
Yeah, 100%. 100% good to hear that both your causes are so noble and so widespread. Of course. Yeah. I mean, I want to kind of bring it back to a little bit of a gameplay question. There was a fun hero pick that came out of Lijiang Tower that did some things where both of me feel like, wait, normally you do this. Why isn't this happening? Wait, what's going on here? And that was specifically your Symmetra pick, Cheddar. Where were those teleporters going?
Do we have to talk about it?
Yeah, no, we have to. No. You know why we have to talk about it? Because our observer just actually got lost. Like, wait, the teleporter didn't go up. Where do I go on my camera now? So then we get confused because we don't see what's happening. So yeah, we have to talk about it. I'm sorry, it's gonna happen.
So I'm used. I played the sim teleporter strat on Lijiang with previous tournament teams, but we hadn't practiced it as much with our team, so I got lost in my Ryan's hitbox. So as soon as we didn't
get it, teleporter a few times. Yeah, I get it.
So knowing that the other team had a Grandmaster coach, I was sure that they were also going to do the sim strat, and if we didn't make it on time, we should give up quickly.
So
Fair, fair.
Killua, to adapt a team building or team composition question to you, so that it's not that quite so one-sided. I note from your team sheet that there is a very specific note towards the bottom, which is Coach Not a Smurf's #1 rule: don't let Killua play Reaper. What's the story behind that one?
Oh my goodness. Okay, and so last weekend when we were playing Raytheon Rectifiers, we were down a bunch of people. We were down a bunch of people, so we had to do some role swaps. When I started playing Overwatch, I'm still fairly new at the game, only a year, and I was started as an Ash Reaper main. So we were down a DPS, and I was like, okay, I'll DPS, and if you go back and you watch that replay when we're on attack on Route 66, you'll notice that there's a Reaper behind a building, just death blossoming. No one around him,
I see.
nothing
Well,
going on.
look,
Just
I'm
kill
kind
himself,
of glad I brought that up, because that kind of balances out the lack of teleporter and the Bastion dropping down into depth quite nicely. So good. Everyone except myself and Classy has been embarrassed here today, so I think we can
There you go.
leave it there on that one.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much fun gameplay. Like honestly, we were looking at that, and maps went like completely back and forth. One map is high performance, and on the other side, you just get shut out by a killer T cells. Like, how did that go for you guys? Just in general, experiencing that series, is that like something you run into more often? That is just completely pendulum swing which way it goes based on what map it is or what roster it is, or was it a really weird experience for you guys too?
It seems like so far our experience with CEA is either something where we're pretty evenly matched and it just goes pendulum match map to map to map, or it's an almost complete steamroll where our goal is to, if we capture 1 point, we're call that a win. So but yeah, no, and it was funny, of course. Like we had some swaps planned, and then I, of course, specifically on Rialto, we were planning on keeping Anna in for that match, but we swapped our Lucio because I don't know. was a space cadet and decided to swap to Lucio. Yeah.
I can agree to that
Yeah.
sentiment. That was it was a lot of back and forth, I think, at one point. You guys like had us in the first map, and then we tried to like match your pace basically in the second map. By just
Which,
being more aggressive. I think like we were just trying to like keep you back the whole time.
no, it was great. That difference was kind of like we thought after map 1 we were like, oh, we're gonna roll this, and then you came back up second map, and we were like, oh, we might get rolled.
Oh yeah, it was.
And then it
nice.
just kept on going back and
Good
forth.
game. Very good game.
Good, yeah, good game.
I've got to say, as a third party, it's not very often where we see a game that is as close as this on a scoreline, which has so many individual shutout maps. Like, that's a really rare occurrence. Normally, it's like very close because it's gone 99 to 99 for everybody. Yep. So, good work on subverting expectations. I do think, though, that we're drawing towards the close of the evening, and we like to round things out here by letting you guys have a shout out and say thanks to anybody that you'd like to, anything you'd like to say. So let's, Killua, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to, or anything you'd like to say to round out the evening?
Yeah, shout out to our coach Not a Smurf for taking on the hard role of having like who plays what when, and benching people and not benching people, and also just everyone everyone on the team, and just letting me kind of develop as being a coach myself and my own leadership style, and really keeping with it, because I mean they're a great group of people, and we're all from such different walks of life, and I'm honestly the least experienced Overwatch player among them, and so it's just I can't be more thankful for this group.
Wonderful, thank you, Killua. And Cheddar, your turn at the mic.
We've dragged a couple of Slum people and Adaptive people all spectating this live stream, and I've dragged quite a few friends from other Discord servers as well. So hello to all of them. And one more shout out to my Scrub Cup team if they're watching.
Great. And to round things out, Mudkips, let's get your take.
Same thing, as Cheddar. I would also just like to shout out for our cheerleaders in the Twitch chat. I don't know if you guys were able to see them. They were kind of just cheering us on. But also, I'd like to thank Max from the Valorant team earlier today. Like, I'm pretty sure someone interviewed him, but he was the one that basically gathered and organized like Adaptive to be able to do all this. So it was fun, and it's great that he did that.
Great.
Good
Well,
to hear.
yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. A really entertaining match. So thank you for agreeing to be on broadcast. Hopefully, you get a chance to go back and have a look through that, and hopefully we aren't too mean to you. I think we were fairly balanced in our coverage. So again, thank you very much for joining us today. But from myself and from Classy and from everybody else here that helps bring the broadcast to you, that is, I'm afraid, all that we've got time for today. But don't worry, because we will be back next week with more Overwatch action. Take care, and we'll see you then.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye.